Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Google Partner Certification Refresher for the AdWords Fundamentals exam. My name is Erica, and I'm coming to you from the Mountain View headquarters here at Google, and I'm on the AdWords team. I'm excited to jump through some of this content with you so that you're fully prepared to take your AdWords Fundamentals exam. So let's jump right into our table of contents here. Here's the content we're going to be discussing. We're going to be talking about, starting from the beginning, the benefits of advertising online with AdWords. We're going to talk about ad quality, how you pay and what you pay, how to set up an AdWords campaign, how this targeting works in your AdWords account, some bid strategies that you can use to get the best results, and then lastly, really measuring and optimizing your performance so that you have a sense of how well you're doing and what changes you can make to improve your performance for long-term success. So let's jump right in. First thing we're going to be talking about is the benefits of online advertising and AdWords. So when we talk about traditional advertising versus AdWords, with traditional advertising, you're going out and looking for your customers. You're putting advertising on billboards, on television, in newspapers, and you're trying to make sure that your audience is seeing your ads. The benefits of advertising online is that you can actually make sure that your customers are finding you when they're looking for your type of content or your business or service. So you can target with certain keywords, interests, and even devices. On top of that, and it's really easy to track your performance with online advertising. That's one of the biggest differences between traditional advertising and online. With online, we have so many options to track your performance and really measure success to make sure you're optimizing the budget that you have. So next, let's talk about ad quality. When we talk about ad format for a simple text ad, it has a few different components. The first component is, of course, the headline, which you see in blue, that says "Buy dog food online," and this is a maximum of 25 characters. Next, we have the display URL. This is what you see in green, and that's the URL that your user knows they're going to visit after they click on your ad, so they have a sense of what your website is. Next is the description text. This is 2 lines up to 35 characters, and this gives the user a sense of what they can expect to find on your site. So here it's "Shop now and save 30% on dog food, voted top pet supply store." So this is important to make sure that all of your content follows AdWords policies, and these are the general components of a text ad. Now, in addition to your text ad, you can also extend your ads with more information. So here we have a few different ad extensions that you can add. On the right-hand side, we have us showing site links, which is a very popular ad extension that allows you to link to other pages of your website by showing different pages and different links just underneath your ad. So for example, for jet.com, they have a few different specific pages that a lot of their users tend to visit. So we have electronics, personal care, household products, and Jet Anywhere. These are the site links specifically. Now, when you create a site link, you can also add description text specifically for the site link to give users even more context on what they can expect to find if they decide to click on the site link. So some of the ad extensions that you can add are app extensions, you can add site links, call extensions, which are very important if you're looking to drive phone calls to your business. You can add call-out extensions, which are essentially an extra line of text to give a call-out to a special feature or promotion that you may have. So there are a lot of options when it comes to ad extensions. In addition, you can show location extensions. So if you're interested in people actually coming to your brick and mortar store, you can have a location extension that shows you not only what your address is, but also a link that they can click to get directions directly to your brick and mortar store. As well as we have review extensions so that people can get a sense of what positive reviews other past happy customers have made. There are also some automated extensions, so things that will be automatically added to your text ads to extend them with more information. Things like consumer ratings, previous visits, social extensions, seller ratings, as well as dynamic structured snippets. So lots of ways that you can extend your ads with more context. And hopefully these extensions will give your users more reason to click and more reason to choose your ad. So next, let's talk about how to create effective ads. We want to make sure, first and foremost, that we're connecting ads and keywords. It's very important that the keywords that you have triggering your ad are also found in your actual ad text. So for example, for this ad for "Buy dog food online" in the headline, a good keyword that we would want in the same ad group as this particular ad would be "Buy dog food," or even "Buy dog food online" more specifically. We also want to make sure that we're highlighting what products or services or offers make you unique. So when you think about it, a user could be seeing up to 11 ads on the page of search results, and we want your ad to stand out. So it's important to note special offers that you may have or what sets your business apart. Perhaps your years of experience or the number of awards you've received or that you've been voted the best dog groomer in all of the town that you're potentially targeting. So really try to think of what makes your business unique and highlight that value proposition in your ad text. Always be sure to include a call to action in your ad text as well. So whether you want them to make a call or book an appointment or submit a lead form online, let the user know what action you want them to take after they click on your ad. We also want to make sure that we're tailoring our ads to mobile. Mobile is more important now more than ever, and we want to make sure that our mobile users are also getting all of the information they need. And lastly, you can create experiments. So as we're creating this different ad copy, you may find that you have a few different options for how you could phrase something or what specific value propositions you could include in your ad text. With experiments, you can create up to between 4 and 5 ads and actually have them rotate and see which one will get you the best performance. So it's always a good idea to have at least 2 ads per ad group. That way you can test out different ad text and see which gets you the best results. So next, we're going to jump into what you pay. We're going to talk about ad rank, budgeting, and how these auctions actually work. So first is quality score. Quality score is one of the most important concepts to understand when it comes to advertising with AdWords. Quality score is essentially a proxy for how relevant your ad is to a user search query. And this helps determine where your ad actually appears on Google search results. It's made up of 3 components. The 3 components are landing page experience, expected click-through rate, and ad relevance. So let's jump into what each of these means specifically. Your expected click-through rate is just as it sounds. It's the click-through rate based on historical data that we expect this keyword to have. Ad relevance refers to how relevant is this particular keyword to the ad itself. So again, it's very important to include your keywords in your ad text to make sure that your ad relevance is high. And lastly, it's the landing page experience. This takes into account what the user experiences after they decide to click on your ad. So if a user clicks on your ad and your page is very easy to navigate, they find a lot of information they like, they click through on multiple pages, that's a very positive landing page experience. So be sure that you're directing users to the most relevant landing page you can. For example, if I have a furniture store and I have an ad specific to armchairs, rather than sending the users to my homepage and expecting them to navigate to the armchair section, it would be a better idea for quality score to send them directly to the armchairs page. Not to mention that it's better for quality score, but it's also probably a better user experience so that they don't have to navigate themselves, but I can send them straight to the page that they're most likely looking for. So keep these 3 factors in mind as you're structuring your campaign, as you're building out ad groups, as you're selecting your keywords, and as you're writing your ads. These 3 concepts are very important because your quality score is taken into consideration in terms of where you'll show up on Google. So let's jump into that next. This helps us understand what determines where you show up. A lot of questions that we get asked are, how do I appear in the top spot? I want to be the first result, the first ad that a user sees on Google search results. When we first started with AdWords, ad rank was a measure of bid and click-through rate. So it was a matter of how much you were bidding for a particular keyword and then how much historically your ad was being clicked on, how frequently. After that, it was slightly revised and ad rank became a measure of your bid and your quality score. So taking into account some of the more relevance things. So not just click-through rate, but also the ad relevance piece and the landing page experience. So what happens after a user clicks your ad. Now we've come full circle, and ad rank is actually a function of 2 things, your bid and your quality score, which includes the expected impact of extensions and formats. So keep in mind that with those extensions that we talked about earlier, you may experience higher click-through rates because users have access to more information about what they can expect to find. So now your ad rank is determined of your bid and your quality score. It's important to understand this concept because sometimes if you can boost your quality score, you can actually lower your bids and pay less per click, but still receive similar results. So making sure that you understand these 2 concepts is very important to achieve not only good results in terms of click-through rate, but also to make sure you're using your budget as efficiently as possible. So next, we're going to talk about how budgeting works. When we set that daily budget at the campaign level, how does that actually work in our system and what can you expect to see? So first, Google multiplies your daily budget that you set at the campaign level by 30.4 to come up with a monthly budget of what you can expect to spend. It's possible to be above or below your daily budget for any given day, but Google will not go over your monthly budget, which again is 30.4 times the daily budget that you have set for the campaign. So something to keep in mind is that if one day you see that you overspend your budget a little bit, you can expect to see us underspend your budget on another day. The idea is that if your ads are performing well, we don't want to cut it off and have potential customers who would become your customers not see your ad. We want to make sure we're showing it when it's performing well. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, something to keep in mind when it comes to setting your budget is the two delivery method options that you have. There are both accelerated and standard. With accelerated, your ads will show more frequently at the beginning of the day, so it's possible that you could run out of budget before the end of the day and your ads wouldn't serve. So it's going to accelerate how often your ads are showing. With standard, it's going to try to make your budget last as long throughout the day as it can. So that's just something to keep in mind in terms of settings. So if you maybe are experiencing not as much traffic in the late part of the day, you may want to switch back to standard if you had decided to try the accelerated method. So next, let's talk about how much you will actually pay. This is really important to understand how an auction actually works, and again, how bid and quality score interact to determine who actually gets the top spot. So here in the example, we have Dave, Susan, and Jorge, all three with separate AdWords accounts, bidding on the exact same keyword for the same location. So here we have Dave bidding $1 with a quality score of 10. So Dave has done a great job of making sure that his ads are relevant, that he has a very good landing page experience, and that his historic click-through rates are successful. Susan is in the second position on the page. She's also bidding $1, but her quality score is 8. So a great quality score, but not quite as robust as Dave. And then in the third position is Jorge. He bid $2.35, which you should note is more than Dave and Susan. However, he has a very low quality score, a quality score of 3, and that will put him in the third position on the page. So you can see that bid and quality score interact, and then it's not necessarily who bids the highest who receives the top spot, but it's also a matter of how their quality score stands in relation to the other people who are bidding in the auction. Something to also note here is that even though Dave and Susan both bid $1, the actual cost per click that they end up paying for this particular auction is 81 cents and 89 cents respectively. So something to keep in mind is that generally your actual CPC that you pay will be less than your bid. And that's something to keep in mind when you're setting those bids, is that it's not necessarily what you pay every single time someone clicks, but it is the amount at the most you're willing to pay for a particular click. So think of the cost per click that you set as the maximum, not as the average that you're going to pay. And that'll help guide some of your bidding decisions. So next, we're going to jump into how to actually set up your AdWords campaign, how to set it up for success in terms of structure, and also what the general format looks like, and where you can make all of these settings. So first, here's an overview of what you would expect to see within an AdWords account. At the AdWords account level, you have a unique email address and your password, as well as billing information. Then within that account, you can have multiple campaigns. You'll probably start off with just one, but within those campaigns, that's where you'll set the daily budget, the location and language targeting, the bid adjustments, and the end date for a particular campaign if you decide to put it on a schedule. That's what you can expect to set at the campaign level. Now, underneath that campaign, you'll have separate ad groups, and within each ad group, you'll have ads and keywords. Now, it's very important in terms of making sure your quality score is high, that you're separating out your campaign into lots of different ad groups that are very specific. That way, all of the keywords within each ad group are highly relevant to the ads within them, and also that you're sending users to the most relevant landing page possible, all within the same ad group. So as you're creating your campaigns, be sure to create more ad groups rather than less, and keep those ads and keywords as relevant to one another as you can. So that's what a single AdWords account looks like. But let's take a look at what it would look like under an AdWords Manager account. Under a Manager account, you have access to multiple AdWords accounts, each with their own login passwords and billing information and campaigns and ad groups, etc. Something to keep in mind is that with an AdWords Manager account, with just one login email, you can have access to multiple accounts. To set this up, all you need to do is create a manager account and then ask the client accounts to add you as a managed user. So this is slightly different than adding just a regular user to a general AdWords account. It allows you to be a manager for the account. Just something to keep in mind. So next, let's talk about some of the campaign types that you have at your disposal. We have a number of different networks that you can advertise on with AdWords. The first, of course, being the search network, so appearing on Google search. We've also branched into the display network, which is showing your ads across an option of millions of websites across the internet. A combination of that is the search network with display select option, and this gives you a chance to show on both of those networks with just creating one campaign. Also, there's the shopping option. With a shopping campaign, you can show product listing ads specifically on Google Shopping, as well as create video campaigns. This allows you to show video campaigns both on the display network as well as on YouTube. So these are the campaign options that you have in mind. Now, after you set up the campaign type, the next section is going to be your campaign subtypes. And this specifies what features you have available within that campaign. So for example, you have a standard option, which is simply keyword targeted text ads for the search network with display select in that case. You also have the all features option. All features essentially unlocks the ability to set things like location bid adjustments, mobile bid adjustments, as well as a few other features. So these are some of the campaign types that you'll see when you create an AdWords account. With the display network, you have the option to create a campaign with a marketing objective. So here, when the campaign creation process, you can indicate that your primary marketing objective is perhaps to drive phone calls, perhaps to drive website visits and traffic, perhaps to drive purchases. So you can determine what that marketing objective is for a particular campaign and set that as you create the display network campaign. Here's a tool that you may find helpful. It's called the Keyword Planner, and when you're getting started with AdWords, you may have trouble thinking of what keywords people are searching for that would make them want to find your business. The Keyword Planner is a tool that allows you to not only see what potential keywords that you could use, but also to see traffic estimates for the number of keywords that we've experienced. So this is a great tool to get a sense of what volumes you could expect to see if you added particular keywords. Just something to keep in mind as you're setting up those campaigns and maybe need a little help thinking about those keywords. In general, when you think about what you want your keywords to be, think from your user's perspective. If a potential customer is looking for your business, what is the term that they would most likely search on Google to try to find you? Generally, those first instinct keywords tend to be the best performers in my experience. And the Keyword Planner can be a great tool to supplement that, as well as to get estimates on what traffic you could expect to get with the keywords that you decide to put in your ad groups. Another great tool if you're looking to advertise on the display network is the Display Planner. Very similarly, the Display Planner gives you a sense of traffic estimates for a number of websites across the internet if you decided to add them as placements in your display campaign. So definitely use that tool if you're just starting off with the display network and want to get an idea of what you can expect in terms of performance from a number of different placements. Next, let's talk about targeting. When we talk about targeting, we're talking about how those users are coming to you. So we're talking about keywords, match types, and other forms of targeting that you can use with AdWords. So let's jump right into keyword match types. When we talk about the search network, we're talking about users who are making search queries on Google. And in order for your ad to show to them, you have to indicate what keywords you want your ads to trigger for. So when you're setting up these keywords, you have a number of different ways that your keywords can match to user search queries that are within your targeted location. The first match type option is the most broad. It's called broad match. And what this means is that it includes misspellings, synonyms, related searches, and other relevant variations of that keyword. So for example, if the keyword I've indicated in my AdWords account is women's hats, broad match as the match type, then a user who's searching by ladies' hats could see my ad because ladies' hats is a different variation of women's hats. And even though the word by is in there, it's relevant to the search query. So that's a broad match example. Now getting a bit more specific, we have the broad match modifier match type option. This includes putting a plus sign in front of any multiple or just one keyword in your keyword phrase. And what this does is it makes sure that the search query contains the modified term or close variations in any order. So something to keep in mind here is if we had plus women's plus hats, then a search query that your ad could appear for is hats for women, because both women's and hats are in that search phrase, and it's okay that they're in any order because broad match modifier allows for a different order, as long as those modified terms or the terms with the plus signs are in the search query. So we're getting a bit more specific with the broad match modifier match type. Next is phrase match. Phrase match is putting quotation marks around your keyword, and this means that the search query has to include that phrase or a close variation of that phrase. So for example, if your keyword is women's hats in phrase match, so you see those quotation marks there, then for example, buy women's hats could be a search that your ad could trigger for, because women's hats as a phrase is included. Now, something to keep in mind with phrase match is that if you break the phrase, so if a query were to say, buy women's red hats, then your ad may not show because the phrase has been broken essentially. So keep in mind that with phrase match, the order of the words within the quotation marks does indicate which ads you can show for. And then next is exact match, so getting even more specific. With exact match with those square brackets, the only results that you can show for are those that are an exact term or close variations of that exact term. And then lastly, we have negative match. And this is when we talk about negative keywords, indicating keywords that you don't want your ad to show for. So for example, if I sell lots of hats online, but I specifically don't sell baseball hats, then I would want to add a negative keyword for the word baseball hats. So that gives you a sense of what match types you have at your disposal when you're setting up your campaigns. And it's really important if you sell a niche group of products within a larger category to include negative keywords for the products that you don't sell to make sure that you're not showing for those particular search queries. Next, let's talk about display targeting. Targeting on the display network, you have so many options in terms of how these users are seeing your ads. The display network is ideal for brand awareness because you can show your ads on relevant websites to your business while users are searching on those sites. So it's great to get your brand out there because these users are already on websites across the internet that are relevant to your business, and this gives you a sense to get them aware with your brand. So in addition to keywords like you can use for the search network, there are lots of different targeting options on the display network. For contextual targeting, you can use keywords and topics. Topics could be, we have a large database of topics that you can choose from when you do select target topic targeting. You also have the option to select managed placements. So if you have an idea of what websites your potential customers are visiting, then you can indicate those websites directly through placement targeting so that your ad can appear on those websites. Also with the display network, you have a few different options in terms of audience targeting. Audience targeting is fantastic because you're targeting groups of users who have similarities. So the first type of audience targeting is remarketing. And this is a fantastic way to make sure that you're reaching users who have already indicated some form of interest in your business. So with remarketing, you can show your ad again to users who have already been to your website. For example, you could have a remarketing list for people who have visited your site and gone to the Contact Us page, for example, because that indicates a high level of interest that they were thinking of contacting you. Or you could create a remarketing list for people who, for example, if you're an e-commerce business, for people who visit your website and actually add items to their cart but don't check out. So you can create lots of different remarketing lists that are very tailored to different levels of engagement and then remarket to those users. So show your ads to these users again to remind them of the value that you add and the unique offerings that your business has. This is especially important for more long funnel purchases. So if you're selling more expensive or items that just require a bit more time before you can make a decision and actually commit, this is a great way to make sure that you're keeping your brand awareness at the top of your potential customer's mind. Another form of audience targeting that we have are interest-based audiences. This includes affinity and in-market audiences. Affinity audiences are based on users' browsing history. So if someone is consistently searching for beauty videos, looking for beauty tutorials and beauty help, then they may be considered in the affinity audience for beauty enthusiasts. Similarly, but slightly different, is in-market audience targeting. In-market refers to people who are actually in the market for a particular product. So if someone is searching online and they're looking at lots of different websites for different cars, then they could be considered in-market for auto. So these in-market industries are great because this allows you to target users who we've indicated are actually in the market to purchase whatever product you may be selling. And lastly is demographic targeting. And this is simply targeting based on age, gender, income, and things like that. And that demographic targeting is available for display network campaigns as well. Next is location targeting. Location targeting is very key to make sure that you are creating your campaigns for success and reaching the audience that you want. With location targeting, you can target different cities, states, entire countries, or you can get very specific with zip codes or even a radius. With radius targeting, you can indicate from whatever midpoint you like to target a number mile radius around that location. So with location targeting, you can add lots of things, and very importantly, you can also add exclusions. So let's say that, for example, you want to target all of New York with the exception of Staten Island. Here, you could add New York as a location target and then exclude Staten Island from your locations. Location targeting is very robust, and it really allows you to make sure that you're targeting the right audience. In addition to adding these location targets, you can also add bid adjustments to certain locations. And this is really key when we talk about optimizing your campaigns for success. Because let's say that your campaign is targeting all of the United States because you're an e-commerce business that can ship all across the US. But you know that you have a particularly loyal fan base in the state of California, and within California, specifically San Francisco. How you can set this up with location bid adjustments is still target the entire US because that is your target audience. But for the state of California, you could put a 10% bid adjustment, which means that for every auction for anyone in California, you'd like to bid 10% higher, 10% more aggressively because you think it might pay off based on the location. In addition to that, if you think that San Francisco within California is the best place for your users to find you, you think this is the highest chance that they will actually click on your ad and actually make a purchase, then you could put perhaps a 15 or a 20% bid adjustment on that particular location of San Francisco. So you can tier these bid adjustments to make sure that you're still targeting all of the area that you like, but that you're being selectively competitive where it counts. So that's something to keep in mind with location targeting. Next is device targeting. Device targeting is fantastic because we live in a mobile world. People are making searches and browsing the internet on their mobile devices now more than ever. So it's very important to make sure that you're targeting those devices and that you're getting the best results that you can on mobile. You can do this with a mobile bid adjustment. So since fewer ads tend to appear on mobile devices compared to desktop, it can be important to add a bid adjustment specifically for mobile to make sure that you're showing up in a high spot as users are searching on mobile. As well as you can set at the advanced level for display campaigns, targeting specific operating systems, device models, or carriers, and options on whether or not they're connected to Wi-Fi. So this is some device targeting that you can keep in mind as well. Next, let's talk about bid strategies and how you can use different bid strategies to really meet your goals with AdWords. So here we have a few different bidding types that you have as an option. The first is cost per click bidding, and this is designed to help drive traffic to your site and have maximum control over your bids. So you're indicating how much you want to pay, the most you're willing to pay per click. The other option is CPM bidding, and this is best for campaign types that are display network only, when you want to increase awareness of your brand. So with this, you're paying for cost per 1,000 impressions, which means you're saying that for, let's say, $1 as a CPM bid, you were interested in paying $1 for 1,000 users to see your ad. Next is CPA bidding, and this lets you decide how much you're willing to pay for a conversion. Now again, a conversion is when a user takes a desired action on your site after they decide to click on your ad. So if you're an e-commerce business, that may be making a purchase on your site. If you're a lawyer or an attorney, perhaps it's filling out a lead form. So you want to pay a certain amount. You want to indicate a target cost that you want to pay per acquisition. The last option here is a flexible bidding, and this allows you to easily apply automatic bid strategies across multiple campaigns, ad groups, or keywords. And this allows you to really be flexible in terms of how you're bidding based on a number of factors. So for example, target return on ad spend allows you to set a flexible bid strategy so that you're reaching a certain target with regards to how your ad spend is actually giving you a return. So let's talk about some of these flexible bid strategies that you have as an option. The first is enhanced cost per click, or enhanced CPC. And this automatically adjusts your manual CPC bid based on each click's likelihood of resulting in a conversion. So if a user is searching on Google and they are likely to actually convert on your site, so they're likely to fill out that lead form, they're likely to make a purchase, or any other conversion that you have set up, then enhanced CPC can kick in and actually adjust your manual CPC bid and bid more aggressively for those users where we think there's a higher likelihood of them converting. With Target CPA, this automatically sets your bids to help you get as many conversions as possible while reaching your average cost per acquisition goal. So again, this is focusing on conversions and how much you're paying for each converted user. With the maximize click strategy, you're automatically setting bids to help you get the most clicks based on whatever your target spend amount is. So this is essentially, if you have a budget set at $10 a day, this strategy will help you get the most clicks out of those $10, even if it means maybe showing your ad in a lower position on the page, but getting you more clicks in with that budget, making your budget go a bit farther. With target search page location, this automatically targets the top of the page or the first page position. So this is really key if you think that position on the page is particularly important for your business and you want to appear in one of those top positions. So this will automatically adjust your bid based on what we can expect that top position bid to be. Another option is the target return on ad spend, and this automatically sets your bids to maximize your conversion value while trying to reach an average return on your ad spend. So we'll talk about return on investment a bit later in the session, but with return on investment, you really want to make sure that for every dollar you're putting into AdWords, you're getting more than $1 back. And so target return on ad spend can help you reach that return on investment goal. And then lastly is target outranking share. This helps you automatically raise and lower your bids to help your ads outrank ads from another domain. So you can indicate your top competitor's domain and set up this flexible bid strategy so that you can raise or lower your bid to make sure that your ads are outranking their ads. So next, we're going to talk about bid adjustments, which we've already covered briefly, but we're going to go specifically into detail with the different options that you have with an all features campaign. With an all features campaign, you can set location, ad schedule, and device bid adjustments. So within the settings tab, you can click on each of those gray buttons to set your bid adjustments at the campaign level. So again, location bid adjustments are for specific locations. You can choose to bid more aggressively or less aggressively with an increase by bid adjustment or a decrease by bid adjustment. Similarly, with ad scheduling, you can indicate when you want your ads to show. So for example, you may only want your ads to show Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 when you're actually available to pick up a call. Or you can indicate specific days of the week and or specific times. After you've set up that ad schedule of when you want your ads to show, you can also set a bid adjustment to make sure that when your ads are perform particularly well, you're bidding a bit more competitively. Or if there are times when your average position on the page tends to go down, perhaps because it's more competitive at that time, you can add a bid adjustment for that particular part of the ad schedule. So ad scheduling is a great idea to set up because it gives you a chance of what days and times your ads are most successful, and it can allow you to set bid adjustments where it counts. And then lastly, when it comes to bid adjustments, are device bid adjustments. And again, this is when it comes to the importance of mobile. Mobile is more important now than ever, and we want to make sure that we're showing your ads to those mobile users. Since there are fewer ads on the screen generally when it comes to mobile, it can be really important to set a mobile bid adjustment so that you're increasing your rank on the page for mobile with relation to desktop. So next, let's talk about measuring your success and really optimizing your performance in your campaigns. We want to make sure that you're getting the most out of AdWords and again, getting that return on investment that you're looking for. When it comes to measuring your performance, there are a number of reports that you can look at in the AdWords account. The first being the Dimensions tab. Once you click on the Dimensions tab, from the View dropdown, you can view lots of different data about your account. Also, the search terms report is a great resource. This allows you to see for what actual search queries your ads have shown for. The search terms report can give you a really good sense of what keywords you should possibly add to your ad groups, or maybe even entire ad groups you should create based on what queries you're showing for. And it can give you a good sense of what negative keywords you could potentially add. So if you are that hat business and you didn't think to add a negative keyword for the word baseball, perhaps in the search terms report, you'd see a search for baseball hats that your ad appeared for, and that would give you the idea to add baseball as a negative keyword. So the search terms report is useful for both determining what negative keywords you can add, as well as giving you ideas for what your potential customers are actually searching for, and which search queries are actually leading to conversions. Similarly, the Auction Insights report is a fantastic report that gives you a sense of how you're performing in auctions compared to other users who are bidding on the same keywords. So that's a great report to get a sense of where you're overall performing. The Top Movers report indicates what parts of your campaigns are performing the best and actually moving the most traffic for you, as well as the Paid and Organic report. This gives you a sense of compared to your paid traffic through AdWords and your organic traffic through Google search, and it gives you a more overall comprehensive view of how you're performing on Google. So those are some great reports that you can take a look at to really make sure that you're measuring your performance and using these reports to actually make changes in your account that can improve your performance in the long run. So next, we're going to talk about measuring your return on investment. When we talk about AdWords, we want to make sure that for every dollar you put in, you're getting more than a dollar back to your business. So the return on investment is the ratio of net profits to costs. So you can see that equation there to quickly calculate it. And we want to make sure that we're measuring your return on investment in AdWords, and it's essential to knowing if your campaigns are succeeding, or not even campaigns as a whole, but if particular ad groups or keywords are succeeding. So the conversion rate and converted clicks are great indicators for your return on investment. This gives you a sense of what keywords, what ad groups, what campaigns are actually driving those actions that you want users to take on your site. So use these metrics to understand which particular keywords and ad groups are performing best, so that you can either put more budget behind them or eliminate parts of your campaigns that maybe aren't performing as well. Conversion tracking is something that we've talked a little bit about throughout today's session, and it's really important to help you measure your return on investment because it allows you to understand what actions users are taking on your site after they decide to click on your ad. With conversion tracking, you can measure what these users are doing after they click on your ad. Are they making a purchase? Are they signing up for a newsletter? Are they filling out a form? What actions are they taking, and how can we measure these actions? We can measure it with conversion tracking, and it just requires putting a small snippet of code on the page that customers get to after they complete that conversion. So with using conversion tracking, you can immediately see for every keyword, ad group, campaign, you can see how many conversions are attributed to that particular component of your campaign, and make sure that you're optimizing based on which parts of your campaign are driving those conversions. So next, let's talk about some ways to improve your campaigns. The first is to focus on a number of key indicators in your account. The main ones being clicks and click-through rate. So when you're first getting started with AdWords, maybe you don't have conversion tracking set up just yet. The first things that can indicate how successful your particular keywords or ad group is the clicks and the click-through rate that you're receiving. The click-through rate is simply a ratio of the number of clicks you receive divided by the number of impressions that you have, or the number of users who actually saw your ad. So at which rate are people actually deciding to click on your ad? That's your click-through rate. Also, your keywords and your quality score are very, very important. So monitoring your keywords to see which ones are driving your results, which ones are getting that high click-through rate and getting those clicks, as well as monitoring your quality score. You can actually add a column of quality score so that you can see out of 10 how your keywords are performing with regards to quality score, and maybe take some actions in terms of account structure to make sure that all of your keywords have a very high quality score so that you can maybe set your bids a bit lower and have a lower cost per click but still achieve similar results. Another option is to look at impressions. This gives you a sense of what the volume is for a particular keyword. With reach and frequency, you can understand how frequently people are seeing your ads, and you can actually put a cap on it. So for example, if you only want users to be able to see your ad one time, you could add a frequency cap. It's really important as well to make sure that you have multiple ads in an ad group. Again, what this allows you to do is test out which ad text actually resonates with your audience more and incentivizes them to click. So if you have two different forms of ads that you're not sure which one's going to get you the best performance, allow them both to run in the ad group and then check back after a week or so and check in and see which ad is actually getting you better results, whether you're looking at that through clicks and click-through rate, or if you have conversion tracking set up to see which ads are driving more conversions for you. And then lastly is campaign experiments. And this is a great way that you can make sure that you're testing out lots of different ad text and optimizing based on which one is driving the best results for you. So next, let's talk about some exam logistics. We're very excited that you're interested in taking the AdWords Fundamentals exam, this quick refresher before you get started with the exam. So just a few quick details. The exam is 120 minutes in length. There are 100 questions that you can answer, and you need an 80% to pass. And when you pass this exam, the certification is valid for 12 months. So for additional information, you can visit google.com/partners, and this is where you can take your exam and become certified, as well as reviewing content in the AdWords Help Center for detailed information about each product and all of the components of the things we've talked about today. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube channel where we have lots of video content explaining things conceptually, showing you how to implement things. There's a lot of great video content as well. You can also review the Fundamentals Study Guide to gain an overview of what important information you need to know for the exam. And remember, in order to become certified, you must pass the Fundamentals exam and one other exam. such as mobile, video, shopping. You have a number of different options to choose from for that last exam. So lastly, let's jump into a quick Q&A. I want to make sure that we answer as many questions as we can that are coming in live through the app. Thank you so much for joining us for the content of the refresher. And now we're going to jump to some questions coming in from the queue here. So let me take a look here. What are the features evaluated for landing page experience? How can we estimate the landing page performance as evaluated by the auction? And this is coming from Matthew. It's a great question, Matthew. When it comes to understanding landing page experience, there are a few factors you want to keep in mind. Things like how easy is the page to navigate? So if I'm on the home page of your site, how easy is it to find the contact us page? How easy is it to go to your bestsellers page, perhaps if you're e-commerce? So when you think about designing your landing page, be sure that you're thinking about what users are most likely to find valuable, and make sure that it's easy to navigate and find different pages. So navigation is a really important part of your landing page experience. Also, making sure that you have lots of original content on the site. So making sure that you're offering value with the content that you offer on the site is very important. And again, making sure that those keywords are actually present on your landing pages that you're sending those users to. And those are a few ways that you can improve your landing page experience. So great question, Matthew. So let's see, I'm going to take a look at some other questions that we have coming in. Thank you all so much for being so engaged. Let's see. Christopher is asking, what's the quickest way to fix a quality score? When it comes to quality score, it can take a bit of time because remember, this is based on your historic click-through rate is one of the factors. And so as your click-through rate improves, your quality score is likely to improve. But it can take some time to improve that click-through rate. But when it comes to quick fixes and what actions you can take today in order to improve your quality score in the short term and the long term, you really want to focus on account structure. What I mean by this is sometimes when you create a campaign, it seems most natural to put all of your keywords in one ad group with a few set of ads. But really, when you think about it, your users are searching for so many different types of search queries. Often they can be grouped into categories. So for example, sometimes even for the same product, people can reference that product using a number of different adjectives or even nouns. And so a great thing to do is to separate out whatever your product is that you're selling or whatever service you have, and think about all the different ways that people would maybe search for it. For example, for lawyers, oftentimes they'll have an ad group for lawyer and an ad group for attorney because people search for both of those phrases pretty interchangeably. But if they're searching for lawyer, you want to make sure that you're showing them an ad that includes the phrase lawyer. Within that, you also would want to create an ad group, for every different type of law that you practice. So for example, rather than putting all of the different types of lawyer that you may be, you'd want to put each different practice type that you have in a different ad group to make sure that you're showing very relevant ads. So I would say when you're looking to fix your quality score, first thing is to make sure that your account structure is as specific as you can get it. Once you've done that, try to make sure that all of your keywords within that ad group are as relevant to one another as possible and that those keywords are included in the ad group. If you find that you have too many different variations of a keyword to include in those ads, then maybe you need to separate that out into even more ad groups. So focus on account structure to fix your quality score as a first step. Great question, Christopher. Next, let's see. I'm trying to look for the questions that have been upvoted the most here. And that was, let's see. So Dixie is asking, is it better to use separate campaigns for search and display in order to get more for your budget? Display is significantly less per click than search, so the daily budget for display can be lower. In what situation is it better to use search with display? This is a great question, Dixie. When it comes to search and display, you're right. Oftentimes, display clicks can be less expensive than on the search network. So what you may want to do is create one search campaign and one display campaign and allocate your budget accordingly. So if you expect that because search is more expensive for your particular keywords, maybe you want to set a $30 a day budget for search and only a $10 a day budget for display. Something to keep in mind is that it depends on your targeting types as well in the display network. So if you're only targeting, maybe using one targeting type, you may know how much that costs you per day. But if you're using lots of different targeting types, sometimes placements could be more expensive than topics. Sometimes with remarketing, you want to bid more aggressively because you know that those users are already indicated in your business. So something to keep in mind is that you do want to tier your bidding on the display network to make sure that you're bidding more aggressively where you expect to get better results. So you can certainly allocate your budget based on where you see the best results. And it also depends on your goals. So if your goal is to really drive brand awareness, then you may want to allocate more budget towards your display campaign and actually less towards your search campaign. But if your goal is perhaps to drive phone calls or to drive lead forms, then maybe you want to put most of your budget towards search and only allocate a small amount to display. So I would say it depends on either what your marketing objective is, so what you're trying to get out of AdWords, and it determines for your particular keywords that you're targeting on search and for your different targeting methods on display, how expensive those are can also help you determine how much budget you want to allocate to each network type. So it's a great question, and it's also something that can be really flexible over time. So if maybe you start out with having $30 on search a day and $10 on display, but after a while and after some refinement, you start to get really good results on display, then perhaps you want to allocate more budget towards that campaign. So just keep in mind how your results are going and make adjustments based on that when it comes to budgeting across different networks. It's a great question, Dixie. And I think we have time for one more question. Let me see. Let's see here. Bess is asking, does Google have search remarketing capabilities? And no, Bess, you didn't miss this. We didn't talk about it earlier, but with remarketing, you do have a search option. So you can remarket to users on the search network who have already been to your site. We call it RLSA, and you can quickly access a Help Center article about it in our Help Center, but you can remarket to users on search, and that's a great new development that has come along recently. So I'm glad that we could support that for you there, Bess. It sounds like it's something you're looking to add. So thank you all so much for joining us for today's refresher. I'm glad that we could cover lots of material that I hope you find helpful for your AdWords certification for the Fundamentals exam. Best of luck for the exam, and be sure to tune into our future refresher sessions if you're planning on taking a second exam after the Fundamentals. We hope to see you there. We hope that you'll be engaged with the Q&A one more time, and thank you all so much for tuning in. Take care.